We're joined today by Guy Keller, Portfolio Manager of the Tribeca Nuclear Energy Opportunities Fund. Guy, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. It's been a great day and great to be back, full of meetings and discussions.
A year or so ago, we sat down and everyone in the uranium sector was buoyant. The market was up, price was up, everybody was excited. We look ahead a year to where we are today. We couldn't be any different if it comes to where the equity markets are currently looking when it comes to uranium. Is everyone looking in the right direction, or is the market missing something?
Look, I think there's been a whole bunch of investors in last year that came in at bad levels and for wrong reasons. They were chasing a story and a thematic, and it looked good, but they were chasing into a spot price which moved very quickly higher for no reason that anybody in the market could really see. And now, of course, that spot price has moved very quickly lower because it's not a real reflection of what's going on. But those investors came in on that move, and so they've exited on that move.
It's a very opaque market, the uranium spot market. And from an outsider looking in, this year's all been about one big buyer sitting out of the market and one big seller coming into the market. Is that what's truly impacting the uranium price?
That's exactly what's impacting it. And the seller has been an unnatural seller. They were a physical vehicle out of Kazakhstan with no real uranium expertise in that team. Being faced with the situation, they had to find a home for their pounds. The spot market is full of characters that you need to find, and there's not that many of them, and none of them have got any balance sheet. So when the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, being the only real financial buyer that has the ability to sit in the market consistently, they've been hamstrung because they haven't been trading to a premium to their NAV, which means they couldn't raise the money to be in the market. And so that unnatural seller continued just to push that price lower to a point in which they were able to find some friction and buying. And, thankfully, it's been a long time coming, but thankfully we've been able to confirm that selling has now cleared the market down here.
And is geopolitical tensions and headwinds in that area also putting pressure on the equity markets?
Yeah, the equity markets definitely, but more so the real market being the utility buyer. They've been hamstrung by geopolitical uncertainty around Russia in making those bans to start with that culminated last year, and now the uncertainty of what's going to happen if there is a peace deal with Russia. So they've been distracted downstream in conversion and enrichment, which means they've stayed away from the uranium market. And that has also impacted the equity markets, because already there's been uncertainty. Like, global macro is not helping any market, but when the big buyers that are not a financial buyer are not seen in the physical commodity, then the equity investor says, whoa, I don't need to be here.
But the fundamentals haven't changed. What we talked about a year ago, the supply demand, where the fundamentals were looking, the amount of reactors coming onto the market, where was that all coming from? That hasn't changed.
The fundamentals have got even stronger, because in the last 12 months, we've seen 9 projects, restart projects, so they're previously producing projects, come to the market. But almost all of them have had time delays, ramp-up issues, cost blowouts. So that supply, the easy stuff, the low-hanging fruit, has been delayed into the market. And that was the kind of stuff the utilities were saying that'll be a no-brainer. With the price action now down here, the greenfield projects that were next to market are all sidelined. And on the flip side, we've seen even more demand created by reactor life extensions, reactor restarts, and the emergence of a new global customer, being tech companies and data centers, who are prepared to pay overs to get baseload clean electricity, potentially now fueling the next wave of the West building new nuclear capacity.
So I'm not going to ask you to predict the future, but what do you think the future looks like for the uranium sector?
I think we're going to see a lot of leadership out of the United States with respect to utilities and tech companies and government. The US have now got the Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, who's come from an energy background, but more importantly was on the board of a company called Oklo. It's Sam Altman, ChatGPT. The tech bros would know him. Everybody knows him. And they're very well aware of what needs to happen to solve the regulatory bottleneck in the US around new capacity. As I said, we've got the customer, we've got the cashed up tech company who's prepared to invest to get this new capacity. We need to solve the regulatory bottleneck. And I think whilst Trump hasn't necessarily made an announcement on that, that doesn't mean things aren't happening. And I suspect you're going to see a lot of change very quickly this year coming out of the US trying to lead this sector.
So our seller's gone. Is our buyer coming back?
Well, we're trying. We're hoping that physical vehicle will get itself into a position to be able to raise some money, and that will when it happens, it'll be very quick. What I can tell you is the shorts in the uranium sector, not just ASX but TSX and US listed, are relying on that spot vehicle being out of the spot market. So if that was to change, I think you'll find it sets a real cat amongst the pigeons and lights a spark and the risk reward for being short down here doesn't make any sense to me. And it's been a great trade for them, hats off. But if I was overseeing a short uranium portfolio, I'd be starting to say to whoever's in charge, what's your exit? Let's start doing something about it now.
Strong fundamentals remain. The big sellers out of the market. The sector looks bright, exciting times ahead, and we will follow with interest and look forward to your insights again. Guy, thanks for your time.
No problems. Thanks for having me again.